Today on the Cameron Journal podcast, we are speaking, and I should have asked how to pronounce his name before I did this, Dr. Bruno Cignacco. He is a consultant who helps organizations be more conscious of people and more compassionate. He's the author of the best-selling book, The Art of Compassionate Business, and he's an investor and lecturer and talks about this stuff all the time. So we're going to find out about his book and how to run a more compassionate organization. So this one is definitely for all of those people in business who follow me. This is going to be a great and fun one, and we're excited to learn more about him, his background, and how he started doing this. So, welcome to the Cameron Journal podcast.
Thank you for the invite, Cameron. I feel very honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, why don't we start from the beginning? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your book?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I'm a university professor. I'm based in the UK. I'm a consultant. I have been a consultant advising companies all over the world for more than 30 years. I have been researching on international business strategy and advising companies on this. And lately, over the last 5-6 years, I started researching on a very important topic, which is compassionate business. My first edition of the book, The Art of Compassionate Business, was published before COVID, and the second edition was published in 2023, which include more than 400 cases of companies that are profitable and human-oriented. I'm also training companies on this topic that is very important. For example, we're training companies on how to become much more compassionate with customers and gain their loyalty and commitment, how to develop a much more psychologically safe workplace where employees are satisfied, they serve customers in a much more meaningful way, there are lowest stress levels, and also they're more productive and creative. And I feel that there is a more increasing number of companies that are not only looking for profits, this means that they're profit-oriented, but they're also trying to bring about a positive impact on the world, on the society, on the environment. And I feel that this is very important because one of the most important functions of business is bringing about wealth and well-being, not only for the business owners, but for the society and the world in general.
Excellent. Well, you that's good. You've done that before, I can tell. You're very well refined. So that's quite impressive. So how did you start writing The Art of Compassionate Business?
Very good. Yes, I read an article 7 years ago. It was titled The Human Moment at Work, and this article was published in Harvard Business Review, that is a very prestigious publication. And this article talked about not about strategies, not about tactics, not how to develop a better product or service, but they talk about the importance of relationship in business. This article, the author talked about the importance of building meaningful bonds with different colleagues at work, prioritizing the in-person meetings instead of using technology like emails or phone calls, and also building what they call a relationship where they are connected on a mental and an emotional level. This means that people know each other not only at the level of roles or position in the working environment, but also on a personal level, on a much more human level. And this article, I was very intrigued because I didn't read so many articles like this, and I started researching on this, and I found a lot of scientific studies on how companies can develop a much more safe workplace and how they can treat customers in a much more meaningful way, for example, adopting an attitude of service, trying to serve customers. What I observed is that accompanying this research, I found an increasing number of companies from different sectors, from the service sector, manufacturing sector, big companies, small organization, big organization, non-profit organization, profit organization, from different fields and sectors that were not only looking for profits, this means they were not only looking for economic objectives, but they have also what I call social goals. They try to bring about well-being in different stakeholders. And a stakeholder I define in a very simple way is individuals and groups with interest in an organization. Stakeholder can be divided in a simple way. Internal stakeholders means employees management, and external stakeholder outside the company, customers, suppliers, business partner, community members. This organization, this group of organizations that are socially oriented, they have also in many cases an environmental impact. They're not only improving the lives of people around them, customers, suppliers, employees, but also they are improving the environment through green practices, for example, manufacturing environmentally friendly products, using renewable sources of energy, for example, wind energy, solar energy. And was very shocking because this is not very publicized by the media. If you see the media, the traditional media, newspaper, and also in some cases, some aspect of social media, in many cases, you see companies that are acting in a very traditional way. They are looking for profit. In some cases, they are firing employees mercilessly in a non-compassionate way. In some cases, they are deceiving customers. You see all these scandals in the media that in many cases is sensationalistic, and you don't see the good examples so well promoted as in the cases of bad example of companies that are acting unethically and in some cases illegally. So I was very intrigued. I published the first edition of the book and was very successful. And the idea is that the publisher, after the COVID and all the changes brought about by the COVID, told me if I could release a second edition augmented and expanded, which include more cases, not only from the COVID era but also post-COVID, where companies were connecting to stakeholders, not only from the economic perspective, but I call these companies with a heart, companies that are not only caring for themselves, but they are others-oriented. They are connecting to others in a meaningful way. And in these companies, strangely speaking, we imagine that the most important resource is funds or information or artificial intelligence or technology. And it's not true. In these companies, the companies that are socially oriented and environmentally friendly, the most important resource is the human being. The most important asset in these companies that I call compassionate companies is the human being, because if they don't care for the human being, this company understand that they cannot succeed in business because they need the human being. They need strong relationship with customers so that customers come back to the company and recommend new customers to this company. But they need a strong relationship with the employees. Why? Because when you satisfy these employees' needs, when you care for them, when you appreciate them, these employees are more likely to give you more in return. Work, for example, in an unconditional way, bring about more productivity, more creative ideas. And they need also all this strong relationship with other stakeholders like suppliers or community members, because at the end, everything in business is interdependent. Company cannot succeed with these stakeholders. And if they have a strong relationship with these stakeholders, this company is more prone to achieve profitability, higher market share, higher sales. So this is, in a very summarized way, my journey. And currently, we are training companies on both topics. International marketing, that was the original field that we were training companies how to export their goods, import goods, develop international marketing strategy. This, I have been doing this for 30 years. And alongside this, we are also training companies on this relatively new field, that is how to develop a much more a kind workplace, much more compassionate workplace, more meaningful communication with different stakeholders, how to develop an approach which includes generosity, gratitude within the workplace and the business environment, where companies nurture this relationship with the stakeholders.
No, I love that. I have been recently trying to get into the business consulting side of things myself, talking about business trends and how to tell better stories as an outgrowth of journalism. So of course, all this is very exciting. We'll talk later. But we the term stakeholder capitalism has gotten thrown about here in the United States. What do you think about stakeholder capitalism? Is that a way forward? And I'm also mindful of return to office mandates as well. Those have had mixed popularity. And some companies are finding the top talent just won't come back. If you want the really good people, you have to have a flexible working policy. And then you've got people like Jamie Dimon running around, being like, no, 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 you must be in a building. So
Yes.
stakeholder capitalism, is that the way forward? How does that mesh with return to office mandates? How does this all work together for a compassionate business?
Very interesting, very interesting. Let's talk about these two topics. Stakeholder capitalism. I don't like the word so much capitalism, but I will say stakeholder approach. This means that you care for all stakeholders without giving any priority to them. Because what is a traditional business approach? It's a shareholder approach. It's taking into account one of the stakeholders, this means shareholder, or is also called stockholder, that is the owner of the company, and prioritizing the owner over the rest. So this means that you prioritize profit over customer service, or profit over well-being in the workplace. I don't like this. All stakeholders are important and have the same priority. Customer have priority, shareholder have priority, employee have priority, community member. So this means that when you use a stakeholder approach, this means that you prioritize all stakeholders at the same level. None of them is better than the other one. And you do not make any decision if you, for example, make one stakeholder, for example, shareholder, win at the expense of other. We do not admit with the stakeholder approach win-lose decision. Instead, the shareholder approach that is traditionally used by big corporations, and obviously they are very profit-oriented, they prioritize shareholder over the rest. So this means that the shareholder can get a lot of return over their shares, but at the expense of customer receiving low-quality products or employees being fired mercilessly without compensation. I don't like this. Going to a mandate to go to work. How I call this, I don't want to criticize any specific company, but I call this micromanaging. Micromanaging is very bad in any business circumstances. In America, in Europe, Asia, all over the world, I see the same tendency and the same trend that is pushing people to go back to work. This means that you are not trusting them. And this means that you are micromanaging them. You are treating like naughty children. You don't treat them as adult people responsible that are trustworthy, because you have to control them physically, seeing them physically like we are in the 18th century where people were really physically in the same place. But we have all the technology, all the facility to work from home. We have video conference. We have software that is well developed. We have virtual meetings that work more or less as the in-person meeting, but many companies go to the traditional approach and use the traditional approach because they don't trust them. When you do not trust employees and you mandate them, you prompt them to go to work in a compulsory way, this generates distrust. And there is a lot of research on trust and distrust in the workplace, that including the second edition of the book. And this, when you have distrust, this generates higher cost for companies. Why? Because distrust prompt people to act in a very cautious manner. They don't want to share resources because if they're not trusted, why they will trust others? When you don't trust people in the workplace, this generates a competitive environment. What you do not want in the workplace, you want a cooperative environment. But also, when people don't trust each other, you bring about the worst of the worst in the workplace. We call the negative side of politics. We're not talking about politicians, we're talking about the negative side of organizational politics. For example, one-upmanship, turf wars, gossiping, slandering in the workplace. This is horrible for any possible achievement in the workplace. This lower productivity, lower efficiency, lower morale, employee morale, bring about lower employee satisfaction, so decrease employee satisfaction, bring about more absenteeism, bring about more stress level, higher stress level, and employees are more prone to become stressed and being related to burnout too. So not good, not good. And pushing people to do something that is not really bringing about any benefit, you are against their need for autonomy. Employees need to feel autonomous. This means that you can give some general guidelines, supposing that you're the manager and you have a subordinate, you give general guidelines, but then you trust that they will fulfill this task or undertake this task in the best way possible according to their experience, expertise, qualification. So you don't have to micromanaging them or supervise every single step of the process, because you're hindering that process. You are not empowering them. So companies that are very efficient and they're socially oriented, what they do in practice, they're treating employees like how they are, adult people, responsible. And this is connected to a very famous phenomenon that is mentioned in the book that it comes from social psychology. They call the Pygmalion effect or Pygmalion effect. When you have assumptions about another person, you tend to treat this person in accordance to your assumption. If you believe, supposing that the employer believe that this employee will be inefficient or untrustworthy, they will start treating this employee as if they were inefficient and untrustworthy. And would they expect this employee how to react? They will start reacting according to this expectation. So this means, in simple terms, when you have negative expectation about employees, you are bringing about a self-fulfilling prophecy. Why? Because this employee tend to match your expectation. You are treating them, you are leading them to act in an inefficient way, in an unproductive way, in an untrustworthy way. So not good. So, but in practice, when you treat them in the opposite way, you trust them, you provide them with enough autonomy, discretion, and you give them general guidelines, and you support them over the process, for example, with additional training, coaching, mentoring, or any other type, shadowing. So this means that this employee feel empowered. They feel autonomous, but they feel competent. And employees don't want only a good salary. They want to feel valued. This is a big mistake that I see in many companies when we train, and I give talks worldwide, that companies in many cases believe that employees and every other stakeholder has only one need, one type of need, that is economic need. Good salary, it's okay, they should be happy. No, this is not enough. The employees, like any other stakeholder, have emotional need. They need to feel valued, appreciated. If they are contributing a lot, and in some cases they're staying until late, well, employee needs some recognition, maybe a thank you note, maybe a bonus, maybe an event to celebrate their achievement, but also they have mental need. The employees need to feel that they are growing, they are developing a career, they're learning new skills, enhancing their innate skills, and also they need to also satisfy their needs, social needs, for example, relating to others, not only in the workplace, but outside the workplace, for example, with some social meetings and so on. So I feel that this is a very defective strategy, and I see many companies in the blue chip sector, for example, software, I don't want to mention anyone, that strangely, they're developing software that allow employees to work remotely, and they're pushing employees to go back to work. They're giving the bad example.
You don't even use your own product, though.
See, it doesn't make any sense. So, yeah. But thank you for the question. Very insightful.
Yeah, let's talk about some other stakeholders, because one of the things we talk about in stakeholder capitalism, what we call the stakeholder approach, is also talking about the community impact, city, county, state, all this type of thing. And in the earlier part of the 20th century, there was a big tradition that kind of got started coming out of the 19th century of companies making sure they invest in society, so if the country's doing better and growing, then so will they. And there were different industries that pioneered that, like Henry Ford was into that sort of thing and different things like that. And then ever since the 80s with Jack Welch and Lee Iacocca and the stakeholder, or the shareholder approach and everything, a lot of that stuff has fallen away. And a lot of companies, they poison the rivers, they poison the lakes, they cause tons of problems. You have to go to court to get money to clean up this mess, all this type of thing. What's a way companies, especially the big boys, can be good, have a good relationship with cities, counties, the people around them, all this type of thing? What does that look like? How does that work?
Very, very interesting. Well, there is a very interesting argument that I always use when I train companies to convince them that they should have not only a mission, a business mission that is economically sound, means generating profit, more sale, but also socially and environmentally friendly. And this is the argument, it's very simple. Reputation is king. Companies that are only focused on the economic, they're more prone to bring about blunders that affect society in a negative way and the environment in a negative way. We see continually in the news companies that are polluting seawater or firing employees mercilessly. And how do you think that all these scandals or blunders affect the company's reputation? Negatively, with the hundreds of social media platforms and online publications and traditional newspaper and traditional media, any company blunder is multiplied in a very infinite way. And this affects the company reputation in a very negative way, tainting the company reputation. Why is so important the company reputation? Because reputation takes a lot of time to build, but can be lost in a very short time with only one scandal.
Warren Buffett always says we can afford to lose money, we cannot afford to lose reputation.
I agree completely.
If you're going to lose one, cost me money, but don't cost me reputation.
Totally. And you cannot buy reputation with money. So a very, very good comment. And so what happened? This reputation, when it's not cared for and is lost or is tainted, this bring about lower brand image. High quality investors do not want to invest in this company because they don't want to relate to a company with bad reputation. Highly talented people don't want to work for this company because why they would waste their talents working for this company? And also what I call conscious customer that they're not only buying products that are high quality and good value, but they're also trying to bring about positive change in the world. For example, buying environmentally friendly product, they're running away from this company. And these companies are more prone to receive a lot of negative reviews, not only from customers, but from employees. For example, if the company has a toxic workplace, you will see, for example, in some platform like Glassdoor, lot of negative comments from employees. Glassdoor is a platform where employees working for a company or ex-employees can leave their comments, like a social media for the workplace. And this push potential talented people away from working from this company. And in the case of customers, when they leave negative reviews, this push other potential customers that are potentially to become customers away from buying from these companies because people, employees, and customers check what is going on social media to connect to this company or not. But also companies with bad reputation, according to history, also you see that companies indicator go down because when you have a lot of negative reviews, sales tend to go down and employees don't want to work for this company. Also the stock price, if the company is quoting in the stock chain market, will tend to go down, return go down. So reputation is key because it's underpinning all the economic indicators. When the company have this reputation tainted and care because of being only profit-oriented, because when you're profit-oriented only, what is the limit? What is the limit? If you don't care for the society, you don't care for the stakeholder at all, except only shareholders, you don't care for the environment, you might try to achieve this profit by all means, exploiting employees, looking for win-lose agreement with suppliers, polluting the environment. What is the limit? So there is no limit. So for the reason, I feel that a much better paradigm, a much better approach is having a balanced development of the business mission, which include economic aspect, which is very important for economic growth, survival, and success of this company, social impact, positive social impact, and positive environmental impact, so that all stakeholders, including shareholders, are included in an equal way. So this is quite important. And how this look like in practice? Well, companies that will take into account in every single decision the impact on the society and the impact on the environment. Let's give an example. So let's imagine a company that is developing a new product, that want to develop a new product that is high quality, using the latest technology, probably using some software with artificial intelligence, so using the latest technology so that providing high value to this customer. But this company is manufacturing this product. And while manufacturing this product, the company will pollute the environment of a community. Why? Because they will start bringing about emissions that are very toxic for the community. This company is bringing about more value for customer, would bring about more loyalty from this customer, but is not caring for the very important set of stakeholders, the community members. Even we are satisfying customer, we are not taking into account a very important set of stakeholders that is a community member. This will backfire. Why? Because, as we said before, all stakeholders have the equality, condition of equality. We shouldn't be caring only for few at the expense of others. So what is the approach on this? Well, the companies, if they want to develop this product for customers, they will look for alternative way. Can we use renewable energy so that we satisfy customer and satisfy the community member needs? Not or. When we have an approach that is a broader approach that includes economic, social, and environmental aspect, we don't use this or that, but we use this and that. This means that we are providing a high quality product and caring for the community member by providing a high quality product with a positive environmental impact. Some companies, as I mentioned, some of the examples in the book of companies like Patagonia. Patagonia is providing high quality product for customers and using organic cotton for most of their product, which implies that this cotton that doesn't include pesticides, doesn't include any chemicals or artificial ingredient that can pollute the environment. So they are thinking about this and that, because at the end, all stakeholders are important. And we want all stakeholders on our side, because if we need them, wouldn't it be nice to have all these stakeholders on our side cooperating with our company spontaneously? And we cooperate with them, and they are more prone to cooperate with us in return, because in business, as in life, you had a very interesting law that is the law of reciprocity. You treat a stakeholder well, you treat customer well, and they're more prone to return and support your company. You treat community members well, and they are less likely to boycott your company. Why they will boycott? They will support your company. Why? Because you are caring for them. You will have positive publicity. Instead, when you do not care for any stakeholder, these stakeholders feel neglected, and they feel that you mistreated them and you dismiss them, and their needs were not duly acknowledged. Well, and these stakeholders are more prone to resist your efforts, in some cases boycott your company, leave negative reviews, and you generate negative publicity. And this affects your reputation.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up a little bit of artificial intelligence, because I want to jump in on that a little bit, because this week everyone has their hair on fire. We're recording on the 4th of June. This won't come out till sometime probably in July. But this week, everyone has their hair on fire about artificial intelligence, and everyone's worried. There's already layoffs happening due to AI. They seem fairly indiscriminate and widespread. Um, we're starting to reach tipping point with AI. In January for my 2025 trends report, I wrote that, this is the year AI has to start solving business problems for the development to continue. Like, it needs to make it an enterprise level sort of thing. And it appears it has done. I have to write my halftime report here soon, and it appears AI is delivering the goods, and it's eliminating people. What does a compassionate business look like in an age of artificial intelligence?
Very interesting. Yes, I feel that technology, including artificial intelligence, has a positive side that is bringing about more improvement of the processes, procedures, and more performance, and also has what we call the destructive side that is, in some cases, some jobs might become irrelevant, so might not become so useful for society. Companies that are embracing artificial intelligence and are fully embracing in a compassionate way should train their employees so to equip them with the skills to use artificial intelligence for this employee to become more efficient. So this means that it's not employees or artificial intelligence. You are equipping them to develop a strategy which includes this new technology, artificial intelligence, and be more efficient. And also probably training also in other fields. If their field become irrelevant, for example, some fields are becoming irrelevant in some cases, for example, some aspect of copywriting and so on, well, maybe this employee can be have their skill enhanced on other areas. So this means that the company is caring for the employees in order to develop new skills, new capabilities, and making this employee useful in different ways. But also, what I observe that the company have a dilemma that is very important, that is this or that. Again, I always believe in the power of and. This and that. In practice, I don't like, among many customers don't like companies that are only tech-oriented. This means that they don't have any human interaction. What I observe, I give you an example of a company. I buy a lot of things online. I'm based in the UK. And like many customers, I like to explore first the website before buying any product, but I get a bit cautious when companies do not include, you check the website and the companies only include an email, no telephone number, only a chatbot coming up, but you don't know if this is a real person or a bot. And there is no real connection with the company except through the website or through an email. This is an example of a company taking technology to the extreme. Why? Because they do not allow any real human interaction between a human being, me, and the, for example, customer service officer that work for this company. And this is not good because when you have only connection through technology, let's say email or bots and so on, the connection with this company is very impersonal. I always advise companies to complement this technology with the human approach. This means high tech and I call high touch. So this means you use bots, you use email, you use whatever you want to use, artificial intelligence bots, driven bots, but also you allow customers to communicate through in different real life ways, for example, telephone or video conferences, so that customers are not talking to a bot that it does in some cases is meaningless, but they're talking to a real person that can understand their needs, they can analyze their frustration, emotion, fears, they can clarify on a much more personalized way. I believe in personalization of customer service, and this is quite important, and many companies are acting in an opposite way. For example, what I see here, and I see also in some cases in America, that companies are depersonalizing the customer service. In the supermarket sector, a very interesting example, you have the checkout machines. Checkout machine that make things quicker. Employees they were in the tills before they are fired, the company cut costs, but this is making very impersonal. And let's talk about some customers that might have some challenges, for example, elderly people.
Well,
that
and
in
those
some case,
self-checkout machines never do really work. 10 years ago, I had experience, I was in Britain in 2015, and our local Morrison's, which is between Glastonbury Street, Wells, and Frome in Somerset, had those self-checkout things, and they were always a pain. They never
yes.
worked. The payment was always an issue because I had a foreign card. That was always the whole thing. And even in this country, you always end up having someone has to come over because there was something in the wrong bag, all this sort of thing. It's more pain than it's worth. It's much faster to go to sort of thing. And especially around here, they're also having theft issues. People just take stuff and steal stuff. And in some places, it's becoming so bad they're taking the self-checkout machines out because the theft at them is so terrible. And no, and I agree with you about the impersonal customer service thing. I hired on that same trip. I hired a taxi in Paris over email. I literally
Oh,
emailed them. This is my address. I need to pick up at this time. They emailed me back.
um,
Great, that sounds great. We'll send a car tomorrow. And I'm kind of like, I haven't talked to anybody. I'm just hoping, based on an email, that a car shows up to take me to a train station tomorrow. And thank goodness he did. And he was amazing and helped me with my luggage and get on the Eurostar to come to Britain and all this sort of thing. But it definitely did lack that personal touch.
very important, very important. Instead, you see some company, Trader Joe's, that is a grocery chain, that
Yeah.
they're not using checkout machines. They're employing more people because, and also the employees are not only helping customer with the payment, but also they're helping customer with the selection of the new product that they offer. They are offering free trials of the product, free testing of the product. They're trying to connect to customer on a regular basis because they know that customers are the generator of these companies' growth, the generator of these companies' profit and sale, and they
Right.
care for customers as they need to be cared, as they deserve, because they are the one bringing their hard-won money, and they want to be treated with respect, with consideration. So very important. And customer, supposing that you offer two products that are very similar, because many sectors are saturated. You have very little difference between one product and the other product. The personalization of customer service make a lot of difference. If one product is offered in a very impersonal way and another similar product is offered, but you can talk to a person, you can have 24/7, for some company here in the UK offer 24/7 customer service on the phone, what is incredible. And I call one of these companies Saturday night and they pick up the phone and they solve my issues. So well, this is wonderful. At the same similar prices, I will go for the company that is offer personalized because it's a way of differentiation of their services that cannot be beaten even by any competitor.
No, it's very important. And that customer relationship, um even with even in the business that I do and all this type of thing, people like that personal touch. It's very important, especially at certain dollar amounts and things like that. People want to meet with somebody and have a real connection. And the relationship building is very vital and very important. So no, that completely makes sense. Well, we're at 40 minutes past the hour. That's usually about the time we stop. So why don't you let us know where we can find you online and connect with you and where we can buy the book?
Thank you very much, Cameron. Thank you again for your invite. Well, they can find me online, www.brunocignacco.com. This is one of my websites. They can find me on LinkedIn. I post a lot
Don't
of
worry, everyone
articles.
trying to spell that. We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, thank you. And the book can be found in any bookshop, online and offline. It's titled The Art of Compassionate Business, white cover, as you can see in the background. And it has more than 400 pages with hundreds of examples of organizations, non-profit and profit organizations from different sectors all over the world that are compassionate and they're profitable. And this book is published by Routledge and is sold worldwide.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the Cameron Journal podcast.
Thank you very much.
That's all for this episode of the Cameron Journal podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Visit us online at CameronJournal.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I love to talk to my followers and listeners, so please feel free to get us on social media at Cameron Cowan on Twitter. And we'll see you next time on the Cameron Journal podcast.